You wanted weeknight meals? This is one of my favorite ones. It is pasta with a slight cream sauce, spinach, sausage. It's all in one bowl and it's delicious. Today is all about an easy weeknight meal that's also delicious, also filling, and just full of great, delicious ingredients that kind of has some spring elements, and that's what I love. I love when our food can mimic the seasons, and that's what this pasta does. It has we're gonna make a sausage. If you have just a sausage you love, you can use that too. With just ground pork though, we're gonna make a quick one. It's gonna have some fresh lemon, it's gonna have spinach, it's gonna have a slight cream sauce, but not too heavy. It's all the good things. So to start, I want some onions. So I have some ready to go. I'm gonna just chop up my other half. You know, the thing is, when it comes to pasta really does not have to be as hard as we think or as complicated. I'm gonna admit, growing up, I was not someone that had pasta all the time. We would have it once in a while. Lo and behold, we had the occasional, yes we did, Mom. We had, you know what it's called, those hamburger skillets. Oh yeah, hamburger helper, that's what it was. And you know what? This is a little bit better than that. Those have their place, but this is an actual homemade pasta that, guess what? It's super simple, and I think that's what we need to remember. Food can be simple and doesn't have to be complicated. So what I wanna do is start by really getting some saute, a little bit of color on the onion. So when I put it in here, I always like to add a little bit of salt, because if you season every layer, you end up using less salt in the end. So I have some salt, I'm gonna put on some pepper. The salt will also draw out some of that moisture that's in the onions and help it break down a little bit quicker. So we're gonna let this saute till we get a little bit of color, and then we'll move on. So I'm just finishing chopping it up. A few cloves of garlic. Garlic is delicious, and sometimes we chop it, sometimes we mince it, sometimes we put it through a press. What this really does is it changes the flavor. If you put it through a press, it's the most astringent. So sometimes I just like to chop it. So I'm adding it in the last few seconds here that the onion is browning, because I just want to heat the garlic through without burning it. If you cook it the whole time, it can burn it. And instantly I smell the garlic, and pretty much that's cooked enough so we can just move on. So now we're gonna build our sausage, but more so our sausage flavors right in this mixture, which is really then gonna become the sauce itself, which is what I love about this. So we have our water here for the pasta. It's coming up to a boil. I want that, but now what I'm gonna do is add my spices that are gonna make this a sausage, which is really simple. We're gonna start with fennel seed. Now, if you don't use fennel seed, let me tell you something. I love fennel, and it's classic in a good Italian sausage. So we're gonna add that in there, let it kind of warm up a little bit. We're gonna add some oregano. Oregano, again, classic flavors in the sausage, and it really kind of melds well with that fennel. I love the two together. We're gonna add some garlic powder, which, yes, garlic powder is different than raw garlic. It has a different flavor. I'm gonna say it's almost sweeter, and it just adds that undertone that a sausage would have. And then again, the same with onion powder. Those all act in different ways, and you wanna use them sometimes together and not just exclusively. So then just a few red pepper flakes. Again, now, what do I say with red pepper? Okay, if you like heat, add more. If you don't, add less. So now we're gonna put in our ground pork, which is just a good quality ground pork. And what I wanna do now is cook it with all these spices, and that's gonna really pick up the flavors of a sausage. So I'm gonna let this brown, slowly break it up the whole time to make sure. My water is just about to boil, in which case I'm going to add my salt to the water to season, put the pasta in, let it cook, and we're gonna bring this all together. My water is just coming to a boil, and so you always wanna make sure you season it well, because this is the only chance you get to actually season the pasta. Now, this isn't all gonna go into the pasta, but it really does season it. Now, I'm using trumpets. You can use a penne. It really kind of works whatever you want. I just like something that can really grab on to that sauce, which is what's nice about all these little ripples. So I'm gonna put it right in there. We're gonna let it come back to a boil. We wanna cook it al dente because it will finish cooking with the sauce, which you can see the sausage is still browning. We can call it sausage now. And we're gonna make sure it's fully cooked through. This will all come together in the end about the same time, which is why this is a great weeknight meal. I measured out my heavy cream because this is where the sauce really comes into play. So the pasta's getting close to done. We want it al dente where it has just a little bit of tooth. So when we cook it, finish it with the sauce, it really soaks it in. So you can see my sausage here is really browned. It has that beautiful just smell, fragrance, and now we want to add the heavy cream. Now this is why heavy cream is kind of that magic ingredient. It has the ability to go in at a higher heat and actually cook without curdling like a lot of milk products. So that's why you use it in sauces. So what I want to do is actually put it in here with the sausage, which looks interesting at the moment, but once we put it all together, it'll make so much sense. And see how it's starting to bubble around the edges? We want that. It's gonna actually thicken slightly. Then we'll add a little bit of the pasta water, and this is how we are building this sauce. So this has about a minute or two left, and so it already has some of that starchiness from the pasta cooking in it, which is what you want. So we're gonna slowly add in a little bit of it. See how it's a color? Pasta water is completely different than just water, and it actually is essential to certain recipes to have that pasta water. And that's why we're adding it in there, because that's really gonna help build an actual sauce. So I have that in there. We're gonna let it cook down for just a couple minutes while the pasta is finishing up. I'm going to then drain the pasta. We'll put this all together. It's smelling amazing. It's looking amazing. It's gonna be good. So I just drained the pasta. You can see my sauce over here has just been simmering, which is perfect, reducing and thickening. So I'm gonna put the pasta back in that hot pan. It's too much to put into the skillet, so I put it back into the actual pasta pan. But now what we do is we take the sauce and we put it right in with the pasta. We want it to kind of finish cooking with the actual pasta, so we're gonna put it all in there. Look at how beautiful. I just think this is the beautiful part. So we're gonna put it in there, and we're gonna slowly stir that around. And while it kind of is finishing cooking, it's gonna soak in to that pasta itself. And we're also gonna add in, of course, some Parmesan cheese that I have grated. We're gonna add a whole bunch of that in, which adds a seasoning, it adds that flair. And look at how beautiful. You can tell that's really coming up. And then we're gonna add in spinach, fresh spinach. It's my favorite way to use it in a pasta because it looks like a lot. You're thinking, Caleb, that's way too much. No, you know what fresh spinach does. It cooks way down. And so I'm gonna let this just wilt into this pasta. We're gonna just take a couple minutes for the pasta really to absorb all these flavors. Then we'll bring it over, we'll taste it, and it'll be good. I mean, if this doesn't scream, I'm ready to eat, I don't know what does. And that's what I love. This really is a weeknight meal. You can see it's like 30 minutes probably, and you can get all this done in, even if you make your own sausage. That's so simple. So what I am doing is taking the zest off of a lemon, and you can do as much or as little as you want. You know, this is the thing. It adds that fresh pop of flavor at the end that just wakes everything up, and I think it really is quite amazing. Now, as I'm stirring this, you can see, look at that. You would think, wait, there was tons of liquid, wasn't there? All that sauce was so liquidy. No, the pasta has been soaking it up, and it has really taken it on, and it's becoming one with it, and so it's this thick, beautiful now just sauce. I did save some of the pasta water. Always do that when you're dumping it out and draining it. Even though I already added some, if it would feel dry at the end, you can always just add more water. That starchy water, it's super good. So now, it's just all about eating. This is the great thing. It's a big meal, so it's hearty, so if you have a big family, but also if you want leftovers, here you go. Can you imagine? Lunches, dinners, whatever you want. I think at the end you need a little bit more Parmesan on it, just to give you that fresh kind of, it's almost like adding salt on something because it has that great salty kick to it. And this is dinner. It's really hot, so I'll try not to burn myself. Okay. One, pasta perfectly cooked, which means it's not soggy, it's not mushy, it still has just enough of that structure and texture to it, and my goodness did it take on that sauce. So you get a hit of those sausage flavors, you get that fennel, you get the oregano, and then you get that delicious, still slight crunch of the spinach because we just wilted it in there. The lemon really makes it pop. It's almost spring-like. It's super flavorful, it's super delicious, and it's filling and hearty, and that's all we want. It's all about just putting food on the table and enjoying it, right? So, what do I hope you do with this? I hope you put food on the table because of this, because it's that easy. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So share this around so everyone can see. This is super easy. Share the video so they can find it. Check my website, wiseguy.com, for this recipe and all my other recipes. They're all on there and they're always gonna be. So, until next time, make some good food.